So you're willing to file this divorce to get back out there on that market. And what you're going to get is a rude awakening. But as far as his health, I mean, Kevin says this, and I don't want to speak too much beyond what the family would want to be said, but Kevin fought and conquered cancer at a very young age. And so, I can only imagine what that did to his body. But, just hanging out with him, he didn't overeat, he didn't undereat, but I know that the stress of putting on those shows, and you yourself know what it's like, man. And me, I've had the experience now being on my podcast. You have to interact with the public. You're constantly on edge. The only time I've ever seen him truly relaxed is down in Miami for his birthday. And everybody knows he says I don't drink, but me, I'm known for purchasing a few bottles here and there. And you hung out with me before too. And so after a couple of bottles, man, he was dancing and really just enjoying his birthday. And to me, I look at that like that was his going away party, as far as I'm concerned. Just seeing him smile and happy and relaxing amongst friends. And my fiance was there, another young lady named Melanie King, who's a very popular YouTuber. We were all there just hanging out in Miami, and it was really impromptu because he didn't tell anybody it was his birthday. We were just down there to meet, and he was like, "Yeah, it's my birthday." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "It's time to turn up, man."
There you go. So as we wrap up, Dennis, what did he mean to you?
That's curious, that he was so well known and yet he kept his birthday so private. It's, kind of possible that he wanted his life to stay private for the most part. Didn't really talk about, well, sort of. So, I don't think that those are things that we consider. He was just a real person. Content creators are real people. Sometimes we glow up and blow up, and people lose sight of that. Content creators and celebrities and so on and so forth. And so to those who are coming into this YouTube space and those who are in it, one thing that Dennis Sperling said there was that it was stressful, harrowing. That's the way it made it sound to me anyway. And I'm just kind of like, well, dang, that stinks. That's my personal opinion there, of course. Yet it doesn't seem right to me in some regard that we would that Dennis Sperling doesn't enjoy the journey. At least I won't speak for Kevin Samuels in that way. If you're not enjoying what you're doing, perhaps it's time to adjust your scope, clean your lens, and make sure that you're on the right path. Anyway, we'll get back into it. There's 3 minutes left exactly. Ta-da! Look at that.
Well, man, we haven't had a voice of truth here in the United States in many years. Our preachers stopped speaking the truth. Our screenwriters and actors stopped speaking the truth to us. Our politicians stopped speaking the truth. We have a lot of panderers out there. And what Americans need, what the world needs, is truth speakers. Because here's the thing, a lot of us have been misled. He was clearly a mentor to some. He was a father to others. They referred to him as the Godfather. He was that middle-aged 50-year-old man that many of these young folks didn't have, who would be honest with them. He wasn't a man who was afraid to speak the truth. A well-studied, brilliant Black man. The way he dressed, the way he carried himself with dignity. What you weren't going to do is cut him off on his podcast and interrupt him and treat him like he was a child. He commanded respect. But then when you would meet him in public, man, he didn't hide. He spoke to the people. He was more gracious than any of the actors or entertainers I've ever seen. They could learn a lesson from him. He never had security around him, no bodyguards. We're in Miami, dudes are running up on him. One guy, most people had positive things to say. Somebody else was like, "You're gonna get yours." He just graciously smiled at him and kept it moving. In New York, as crowded and rowdy as New York can be, no bodyguards. I mean, he was a man of the people. And if you ever really had a chance to be around him and sit and listen to him, you'd see how brilliant he was. But to me, he was a mentor. He was, and at my age, it's like, I'm too old for mentors, but he was truly a mentor, a big brother, and I appreciate his legacy. And I hope that those men who are in the manosphere, which he has taken mainstream now, like the things we talk about that used to be part of the dark corners of the internet that everybody thought was crazy. They called them incels and these. Now it's major talking points. You have Hollywood being affected by it. So he meant a lot to him. He was and I describe it like this, he was the aircraft carrier that was out front leading. And surrounded by a battalion of ships of truth speakers. And so that's what he meant to me. He was a forerunner he was a harbinger to what I think America needs to get back to our traditional values: family, raising children, being good citizens, being good